Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Goldberg, and I'm a genetic counselor at JScreen. And I'm here with Abby Velasco, who's going to share a little bit about her story with genetic testing so that we can talk about why genetic testing is important and useful and why people can really use this information to help make decisions about their health and the health of their family members too. So, Abby, I know you wanted to share a little bit about your story, so I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Emily. And I really appreciate connecting with JScreen because I really feel this so close to my heart. So in 2015, my son was banging his head from time to time, and he banged his head into me, into one of my breasts. And that's when I felt a lump. And I went to get a mammogram and then a 3D mammogram. And while I was at the office, they said, can we just double check this? And maybe 20 minutes later, I was getting a ultrasound. Wow. And they were not happy with what they found. And then I think 2 or 3 days later, they were doing a biopsy to see what was going on. And then I got a call. I was at home saying that I had breast cancer. Wow. And I was devastated, shocked, angry, all the possible emotions that you can have. And then I told my immediate family, and my mom started doing lots of research and found Barbara Schwartzberg, who is one of the top breast surgeons in Colorado. And I went to go meet with her probably on Monday morning, first thing in the morning. And when we talked and she looked at the scans and everything, she said, I'd like to do surgery, but I'm not sure which type of surgery we want to do yet. And the most important thing that you can do, Abby, is head on over to the genetics counselor and find out if you can get tested for the BRCA gene. And at the time, there was a lot of red tape in order for the insurance to pay for that. It wasn't like a 1-2, let's just get this done. My mom had gotten here from New York, and we started mapping out with our genetics counselor, probably a few days later, a map of our family tree. Mm-hmm. And at that point, the genetics counselor said, okay, there's enough cancer that existed, we can run this test and the insurance company should pay for it. We're not 100% sure, but they should pay for it. So got some blood work done, which took about 5 minutes. And then they sent it away to California, and we waited and waited and waited. And I was kind of walking around. Do I get a lumpectomy and then have radiation after that? Or do I have a double mastectomy? What does that look like? How am I going to tell my children? All these questions were floating around. And I kind of felt like I was walking through cement, because there were lots of questions and very little answers. And then I decided I would leave the decision up to the BRCA test. And if Barbara Schwartzberg thought it was that important, then we would wait to find out the answer before we scheduled surgery. And I cannot remember what the date was, but it came out that I was BRCA1 positive. And my mom was kind of shocked because she was told in 2001 that if she was negative for the BRCA mutation, then her kids would be negative. Well, at the time, in 2001, they were not thinking that, maybe the dad had something to do with this. Mm-hmm. And turns out my dad is BRCA positive as well. And so is my sister. So I then proceeded to have a double mastectomy. And a month later, I had a hysterectomy because I had a fibroid in my uterus and they weren't sure what that was. And when they did the hysterectomy, they found that I had a carcinoid on my appendix.
Wow.
So I'm so thankful that I ended up doing the double mastectomy because I had stage 1 in my left breast, which we knew about, but I also had stage 0 in my right. And so if you keep counting, that's 1, 2, 3 places that I was growing cancer in my body. So that was my crash course in breast cancer and learning about the importance of finding out my BRCA status. And since my mother and father had both been cancer survivors, it's not altogether surprising
Mhm.
that this was happening, although it was scary. But it taught me the importance of getting tested and finding out what was going on. And then I wanted to educate as many people as I possibly could. And it's taken some time, but I am thrilled to have learned about JScreen through Sharsharit
Mhm.
in Denver. And that's when I wanted to connect with you and say, you know what, I know tons of Jewish middle-aged folks who should be tested through this very, very simple, you can do saliva test, you can do a blood test and find out what your status is, because we can help our children, we can help our grandchildren, and we can be informed on what is going on in our bodies.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. And it's quite a story. And, I think you touched on a lot of really important misconceptions that are out there, which is, first of all, these can be passed on from males and females. And, we need to pay attention to both sides of the family. Um, and another one is that people sometimes feel like, well, I've already had cancer, and so it's too late for me to do genetic testing.
No.
But really, genetic testing can have a big impact, in determining surgery or medications or future cancer screenings. So I think it really goes to show that it can, be part of a treatment plan. Although, of course, it's important in prevention and screening. And, we want people to have genetic testing before this happens. But it also can be really important for people who already have a diagnosis. So I think you show really nicely how that can really make a difference.
Definitely. And the good thing about getting cancer, breast cancer at this point, is it is curable. You can remove it and you can go on to live a healthy, strong, happy life if you do the things that the doctors say and take whatever medications that you need and keep exercising and eating well. I think that really makes a big difference. That's why I'm very much aware now of what I'm putting in my body and how much plastic I'm using and the microwave and things like that. Because we want to stay away from cancer as long as we possibly can.
I totally agree. And, the more that we know about risk factors and about our own health and our genetic risk, kind of arms us with the possibility of taking action and, making a screening or treatment or prevention plan. And so genetic testing is kind of one piece of that pie. But I think for a lot of people, it can be an important piece.
So can you tell everybody how JScreen works and what age you can start testing?
Of course. So JScreen is a nonprofit. It's based out of Emory University in Atlanta, though it's a national program. And our goal is really to provide genetic education like this and genetic testing. And it's done anywhere in the US. We mail you out a saliva kit, and the testing, our cancer gen testing, looks at 63 different genes, including BRCA1 and 2. So it's a pretty wide panel. It covers many different types of cancer. And so you spit into the tube from home, and the genetic counselor is kind of walking you through the entire process. We meet with you to go through your results, and then we can explain what that means for that person, for their family members, and also with their healthcare provider. So we work with your doctor
so you
to
don't
get the
have to
original
feel
test
alone.
order. Exactly. We're providing all the documentation and recommendations that you need, and working with your doctor to really put a plan in place for those who test positive or, those who don't test positive, but still have other things in their personal or family history that warrant extra screening or extra prevention. So it's available to anybody around the country as long as you're over 18. The decision about exactly what age to pursue genetic testing is really a personal one. So, oftentimes people are thinking about this around age 25 to 30, but really at any age over than that. And then sometimes people are also using it for family planning. So if someone's thinking about having their first child and they're 24 and they want to know, I want to know for myself my own risks, but I want to know what I could be passing on to the next generation. So they could start thinking about doing genetic testing at that time. Most of the cancers that we screen for are not associated with cancers in childhood or adolescence, though there are exceptions to that. So sometimes the timing depends a little bit on, if someone feels ready to hear that information, or what they've seen in their family, or if they feel ready to take steps and be proactive about their health. So it varies a little bit person to person. But, we want everybody to know that our testing is available regardless of whether or not you've had a personal or family history of cancer, whether or not you have ever been offered genetic testing before. We have financial assistance for people who need it. So our goal is really just to make it as accessible as possible so that anyone who feels like this information would impact my health and I can use that to be empowered and figure out my plan. And, we want to just have it as an option for anybody that needs it.
And how much does it cost? This is the part that it's just magical.
So the cancer gen test is $199 as long as somebody submits insurance. Even if the insurance doesn't cover it at all, or you've been told before that your insurance plan doesn't include coverage. So regardless of whether or not it's covered, it's $199 if you submit insurance. As I said, for people that have financial assistance, it's there for people who need it. We also have various grants in different states, including Colorado. So definitely feel free to contact us, if to see, how you can access these grants. We have discount codes that we can give out. So anyone can feel free to check out all the information on our website. So we're at JScreen.org. You can find us through there. Feel free to reach out to our genetic counselors like myself. We have videos and other information on our website, which can hopefully be helpful, but we're here for any questions or any extra support.
Awesome. I'm so glad that I found you guys, and I'm so glad that I can share this with all my Jewish friends and friends around the country, because you don't have to do all of the red tape that I needed to do anymore. You can find out more easily. You don't have to get cancer first, like you said. And you can just find out what is going on. If your grandmother or your mother has gotten breast cancer or bladder cancer or something like that, or your grandfather has prostate cancer, find out what is going on in your body, because you could save your own life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't even think we mentioned this yet, but for people with Jewish ancestry, even without a personal or family history of cancer, there's a higher chance of having a genetic change in BRCA1 or 2. We think that about 1 out of every 40 people with Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry has a genetic change. And that's, part of our motivation for not having any rules about who can get tested or not. Because even just having Jewish ancestry puts you at a higher risk. So we want people to know that that's a possibility, and then give them an opportunity to seek out testing. We also feel like for people that, don't have any Jewish ancestry, that it's an option also. We've opened it up to everybody. We want people to have this information, but especially in the Jewish community, the chances are higher.
Yeah. So for people who are adopted.
Yep, absolutely. And that's kind of been, an area that's been a bit neglected, because historically the insurance companies say you have to have certain family history. And if you have a small family, or you're adopted, or you are estranged and you don't have those pieces of the puzzle, we don't want that to be a deterrent and a reason why you can't learn more about your own health.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can't thank you enough for what you're doing and how you're helping people. And I hope that some of my tribe connects with you and finds out what their status is, because it can be very empowering and you can save your own life.
Well, thank you so much again for sharing your story and getting it out there, because I think, you know, we have the same goal in mind. We want to educate people and give them the opportunity to really save their lives and, you know, use this information to impact other family members as well.
Definitely. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much, Abby.
All right. Have a happy Hanukkah.
You too. Bye.